What's going on, guys? My name is Emilia. Welcome to yet another video on Python object-oriented programming. And in the last video we talked about properties and methods, and in this video we are going to be talking about constructors, how to use class constructors in Python, and what exactly constructors are. So a constructor is a special type of a method that is run whenever a new instance is created. Now we talked about instance creating, like this is an instance, this word maingi is an instance of the class user. So now we want to create a constructor for the class user. To create a constructor, because a constructor is just a method, but it is a special type of a method. So to define it, you use the def keyword and you use two underscores like this. You use two underscores and the keyword init. The keyword init is the one that is used to define a constructor in Python. If you have worked with PHP, it's a underscore construct or something like that, I'm not sure. So in Python you do it using the init keyword, and like I said in previous videos, every Python method should start with the keyword self. Then you can go on and assign other. You can go on and assign any other, not just assigning but passing any other arguments that you want to pass to the class. And remember, any arguments that we pass here, let's say for example we pass an argument name. So this name will be this argument will be required anytime we are doing the initialization. So for this instance, let's say when we have name, we must pass in name here so that we can satisfy that argument. Okay, so we've said that this method is run whenever a new instance is created. It's automatically run. When you instantiate, this is the first method to be run as always. So now let's do something with our method. For user, let's set, instead of setting the names here in the method login, let's set the name inside the constructor. So now we pass the name here and also pass the ID, this one that we are going to assign to this property called my ID. So now when we initialize our class user here, we'll need to pass the name. Let me pass a name like my name, Emilia, and then we also pass the ID, and the ID will be let's pass another thing here, not ID, let's just use email. Let's use email. Okay, email. We don't actually need this one here. We don't actually need them there because we have done away with that method. We have done away, we have transferred that functionality to the constructor. So now for the login here, let's just say to log the user in, we set a variable called is logged in. Let's set that variable to true whenever we want to log a user in. So we'll say it's equal to true. Okay, now so now since we have initialized our user here, and let me use my email here. So whether you can send me an email or using this email, doesn't matter, I will respond. So now we have initialized the user with these two arguments, Emilio and the email. Now let's try to run our class and do the user login. And remember here now the login doesn't require any arguments, so we don't have to pass any argument. So let's save this and run our class and see. So to run, we use the keyword Python and then the name of that variable. Now it says what? Building function ID. To see there is an error here, and that error is this one. So let's just use the email here that we are passing. Sorry for that, guys. That email there, and we assign that to a property called my email. So return self.id. Now let's do this. I want us to, every time a new user is instantiated, want to increase the number of users. Okay, so we'll come here and say users, user dot number of users, and then we add one. To add one there, we can say plus equal 1. That's just a short form of writing how to add one. We could have written number of users equal to number of users plus 1, but this is a shorter method. So now we want to assign. After we do that, we set an ID for this user. Okay, so we'll say self dot ID. Let's use my ID. Self dot my ID is equal to number of users plus 1. Okay, let's just copy this. Now we'll say it's equal to the number of users. Since we have already incremented it here, we don't have to increment it again. So what we do there is just assign the ID to the current number of users, which will be the ID. So now let's come here and like here we are printing the ID. That's all right. Now we instantiate, passing in the name and the email, and then we log the user in. Logging in, we are setting the is logged in to true. Then we print the .getName method. It gets the ID. Alright, so let's not print the ID. Let's print let's use a string. Let's kind of return a string with a format. So here what we'll do, I will use the single quotation marks there and say username is let's see, username is, just put those curly braces there. I'll show you what it means, and then full stop, and we say and email is like that, and ID is like that. So now after doing that, come here and say dot format, okay. Then what we are going to pass there is these arguments as they follow one another. Okay, we pass in the username. The username, we want to pass the self dot name. Okay, and then we pass the email, which is self dot email. And then we pass self dot my ID. Actually this one is my email, and this one is my name. Okay, now let us run the class. Let's change this method to get string, something like get string, so that it returns to us a string format of the user details. Okay, now we run the class. I think we can also say here whether the user is logged in or not. All right. Or let's just run it like that. So print maingi.get string here. Remember to change this method here. So let's run it and see. So the output is the username is Emilio. Email is the email that we passed, and ID is 1. Now let us instantiate another user here. Let's say here now this is another man called Emilio. Okay, and his name, we changed their names. This is Maingi, and we call this another one Emilio. And this email, you can just change it like this. Okay, after changing it like that, save. Then before we run it, let's do a login on this user. We can just log the user in or not, but what we are interested in now is printing the get string, method, what this method returns. Now let's see what happens. Let's see what happens after we run this class. Okay, we run it. Now you can see the next one. It has also printed the output very well with the ID having incremented. Now so you have gotten to see the importance of the init method, which defines the class constructor in a Python object-oriented class. So when you have a constructor, you can have arguments inside of the constructor, and you can also you can set your defaults, what you want the class to do every time it is initialized. You set it here on this method. For example, you want to, every time we initialize a new user, we want to set their name and set their email and probably other details. You can do that inside this init method. It's very important. So I hope you have understood something, guys, and let's meet in the next video where we'll be talking about encapsulation. We shall see what encapsulation is and how to implement encapsulation in our user class. So guys, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell also, so that you can get updates updates of new videos as I produce them. Okay, so thank you guys, let's meet in the next video.